Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Ipshita Bansal from BPS Women's University, Sonipat, Haryana. Today we will be discussing about the module HQD Lessons from Jataka Tales of the paper Indian Perspectives on Human Quality Development. After studying this module, the students will be able to understand what is Jataka, learn about triple jewels as the path towards the precious treasure of Jataka Tales, know the human quality development lessons to be learned from Jataka Tales. The roots of Jataka are from Jata, which literally means born or birth. Thus, Jataka collection refers to birth or life, and in the Buddhist way, it signifies a story or tale of one of the former births of the Buddha. Jataka is a part of Buddhist literature and is well known as the pearls of wisdom, articulated by Buddha himself. Jatakas consist of stories, ballads, anecdotes, and episodes that talk about the previous lives of the Buddha in both human and animal form. These tales describe those earlier lives of Lord Buddha when he was on the path towards perfection to Buddhahood, as we can see some depictions in the picture. Lord Buddha often cited examples from his past life in order to explain the right way of life. There is no sequence to these stories, as he narrated them according to the demand of a given situation. These stories were later compiled as Jatakas. These tales are sometimes called as a Bodhisattva story, which means a story in which a Bodhisattva plays a part of one of his former existences, whether as the hero of the story or as a secondary character or as a spectator only. Jataka consists of 547 stories. In these birth stories, the value-based moral principles are entrenched, which are considered of vital for self-development and perfection to attain Buddhahood. Framework of Jataka Tales. The framework of Jataka is divided in separate parts. Every Jataka story consists of 4 parts described below. First, Buddha examines a real life problem. Second, Buddha tells a story about his previous existences. Third, meaning of the Jataka is explained and Buddha shows how the Jataka sheds light on the presenting problem. And fourth, a concluding moral is stated. Value and influence of Jataka Tales. The message conveyed by Buddha in these tales has universal application. Buddha, while narrating these Jataka stories, brought out the realities and values of human life. In those ancient days, the lack of literacy demanded the appointment of Jataka storytellers who used to travel far and wide and through these stories spread the message of humanity, empathy, kindness, non-violence, self-sacrifice, charity and abstinence from greed, etc. All Jataka stories help in leading a correct way of life. Even today, these fables can play an important role in human quality development through encouraging peace and kindness. Jatakas illustrate how the Bodhisattva cultivated various virtues that eventually contributed to his accomplishment of Buddhahood. 4 Noble Truths. The Buddha spoke the 4 noble truths, that is, life is a suffering, suffering is due to attachments, Attachments can be overcome. There is a path to overcome that attachment. It is a path towards enlightenment. Buddha knew it would be difficult for people to follow his teachings by their own. So he made 3 refuges for them. Refuges or triple jewels. These triple jewels or 3 gems are: the Buddha is the guide, the Dharma is the path, the Sangha are the teachers or companions along the way. Buddha said that these triple jewels led to enlightenment. So he asked to follow the Dharma, the path towards enlightenment. So we can have Buddhist devotion summarized as Buddh, Dharma, Sangh. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. बुद्ध की शरण में जाओ, धर्म की शरण में जाओ और संघ की शरण में जाओ. Dharma Wheel. To make people understand this path of Dharma, he began the turning of the Dharma Wheel. He chose the striking symbol of the wheel with his 8 sides to represent the Noble Eightfold Path. These Noble Eightfold Path consist of right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This noble path helps individuals in moving towards human quality development. Like a wheel, the teachings of Lord Buddha also goes round and round and leads to the central point of the wheel. This central point is unchanging and is known as the Nirvana. As every side of the wheel is needed for the wheel to keep turning, in the same way, we need to follow each step of the Eightfold Path. HQD lessons from Jataka Tales. Thus, to understand the wheel of Dharma, Buddha narrated his experiences from past lives, known as the Jataka. They show how one can develop the human qualities and the kind of life one should lead to become a Buddha. Here, the tales are elaborated with the help of Noble Eightfold Path to show the right way of life, which are as follows. Right understanding. The development of this human quality, that is the right way to understand life, can be done by wisdom and compassion. Right understanding is very important to know the problem and to come out with a solution. The Jataka tale titled Lady Face helps in understanding it more clearly. The story revolves around the elephant who was very much kind and patient with a lovely face. Story of a lady face. The elephant with beautiful face was known as a lady face. One night, just outside the elephant shed, the gang of robbers met and discussed the plan of robbing people by beating and killing them. They used very rough language. This went on for a few days. Due to the dark and silent nights, Lady Face was able to hear all the talks very clearly. As it is said that the elephants remember things very well, thus the Lady Face too remembered their talks. He thought them to be the good people and teachers, so he followed all the words as the command from the master. One morning, as usually when the caretaker of Lady Face arrived in his shed, Lady Face was full with the robber's talk in his mind. He suddenly attacked the caretaker, lifted him up in the trunk and smashed him down on the ground, and finally killed him. The news of this incident spread like fire, and soon the king came to know about this and sent his intelligent minister to see what had happened to his favorite elephant, the Lady Face. The minister went to examine the cause of such behavior. The minister talked politely to the Lady Face and observed that he lifted his ears and listened carefully to him. The minister asked the guards that whether they have seen anybody hanging around the elephant. The guards replied, yes, they saw some rough looking people outside of its shed from last few days. The minister understood the whole situation, returned to the king and reported him that the elephant is in good health. The rough behavior of the elephant is due to listening to the rough talks of robbers. He added that to overcome such behavior, we need to send few spiritual people outside his shed to have good, polite and kind talks. Accordingly, the king did so. After a few days, the minister again examined and observed the elephant and reported back to the king that your lady face is now more gentle, more kind and more peace-loving. The king was also happy to know that he had such an excellent minister who can even read the minds of animals and can transform their rough behavior to such a kind and gentle behavior. This is how the right understanding of things can transform the negative situation into positive one. This can further help a person to improve the performance at the workplace. Right thought. It is often said people become what they think. Thus, clear and kind thoughts build good and strong characters. Acquiring the right thought is again a very important HQD lesson which can be learned from one of the Jataka Tales. With the tale Demons in Desert, Buddha says that using intellect is important at the time of doubts. The story of Demons in Desert. It is a tale of two merchant friends who made a plan of business trip towards the city. At first, they decided to travel together, but because of their large caravan, they decided to move one by one. The first merchant on his way faced problems and troubles. He reached a place called Waterless Desert. The local people informed them that this place is haunted by demons. When his troop reached the middle of it, they met with a caravan of people coming from opposite direction. Their carts were dripping with water and they were carrying lotus flowers in their hands. The head of the caravan said to the merchant, "Why are you carrying such heavy loads of water? You have overloaded the bullocks. See, your bullocks are tired, so throw away the water. In short time, you will reach the oasis with plenty of water to drink." Despite the warning of the local people, the merchant did not realize that these people can be demons in disguise, and he asked his followers to throw all the water. They moved further and further but didn't find any sign of water. It was dark and they were tired, so they slept. At that time, the demons appeared and killed all weak bullocks and men and finally ate them. After few months, the second merchant started marching. While they were about to enter the desert, he warned all his fellow men about the demons in the desert and asked not to eat or drink anything from the desert as it can be poisonous. When they reached the middle of the desert, they met the same caravan of demons in disguise. The demons repeated the same story of the oasis of water, but this merchant was intelligent enough and he again warned his fellow men that do not waste a single drop of water. He said, "As there are no clouds, no moisture in air, and then how can there be water in desert?" Thus they moved further and found no water as expected, but they found carts lying over the desert and the bones of men and bullocks. He understood at once that what may have happened. They crossed the desert very carefully, did business in the city and returned back with good profit. Hence, the right thought with logical reasoning is required before acting. This is a lesson to be learned not only in business deals but also in the personal life situations. Right speech. The right way of communicating is important with respect to both how we are speaking and what we are speaking. This skill is again vital to acquire for the betterment of an individual and for the cordial relations in his life. The tale of a banyan tree also conveys the same message of rehearsing our words before delivering them. The story of a banyan tree. Once a man went to a wish tree and asked for a wish to be fulfilled. He also made a promise that he will sacrifice an animal as a thanksgiving to the fulfilled wish. After some time, his wish was fulfilled, but he didn't know that it was a god or a demon or something else in the tree that helped him. It was a time to keep the promise, and as the wish was too big, so he thought to sacrifice more animals. The man brought many goats, chickens and sheep and prepared to burn these animals as a sacrifice. At that time, the spirit living in the tree came out and said to the man that as you made up the promise now and you are bound to keep that promise, but if you will perform such an unpleasant task and harm the innocent beings, it will bring you more trouble. The foolish man understood everything now and realized that he used wrong words and wrong speech as a promise. As a lesson to this incident, he never used wrong words and checked his thoughts twice before converting them as the speech. Thus, the emphasis is both on the words and its articulation. Many organizations nowadays prefer their employees to be finest in these communication skills, to use the right speech so that they can become the best spokesperson for the organization. Right action. Truly said, action speaks louder than words. Thus, our acts of kindness and compassion lead to the healthy and strong relationship. The Jataka tale of the grandma's Blackie sets a good example of loving and kindness. Once upon a time lived an old woman. This woman had a calf. The calf was of black color and very close to the woman. The old woman and the calf loved each other a lot. This was the reason people started calling this calf as Grandma's Blackie. After a few years, the calf grew into a big, strong bull. One day, he thought that the old woman brought me up just like a mother and had been so kind to me. In this age of her, I can't see her working so hard to feed me. Blackie thought to do some work through which he could earn a good amount, so the old woman needs not to work tirelessly. One day, as he was roaming around and playing with children, one of the businessmen from the city side passed from there with many bullocks and carts. He was not able to cross the riverside as the flow of the water was very fast, and the bullocks were not ready to step forward in that risky situation. The businessman looked around for some help. Suddenly, he saw Blackie and thought that this strong bull may help me to overcome this problem. He pulled Blackie, but the bull was not ready to step forward. The businessman understood the reason perhaps and promised Blackie to reward him 1,000 gold coins if the problem is solved. Blackie agreed because he also wished to gift this amount to the old woman. Blackie at once, with its full force, pulled the cart to the other side. The businessman was happy but rewarded him just 500 coins and started moving. But Blackie knew that it was only half the amount, so he did not at all allowed them to move. Then the businessman hung one more packet around his neck containing 500 coins more. Blackie was very happy and ran to the old woman. She was surprised to see 1000 gold coins. The children who witnessed this entire scene narrated the full story. The old woman was overwhelmed by this action of Blackie. She cleaned Blackie, massaged his body and gave him the best food to eat. They lived together happily for all of their remaining lives. Thus, actions which are benefiting others should be performed for all-round happiness. Right livelihood. The story of Happy Monk tells us that life is not only about materialistic pleasures, but it is also about intrinsic happiness, which can be attained through spiritual life. Once there was a king who ruled his kingdom for several years. One day he felt that now he is growing old, and the old age is same for both the rich and the poor. So he decided to leave his kingdom and go to the forest to live as a monk. There he practiced meditation and freed himself from all tensions and problems. He now started living a happier life. At that time in the forest, the monks were quite serious, but this monk wore a gentle smile and was happier on the occasions of warmth and laughter. The one who was the master of all monks in the forest knew the secret of his smile, and he made this happiest monk his assistant. Once the master of all monks went to the city. There they stayed in a kingdom. After a few days, when they were returning back, the king asked old monk, the master, to stay in the kingdom as he was too old. To this the master agreed to make his assistant to the master of other monks as they all returned back to forest. The assistant continued practicing meditation in the forest and gained more wisdom and peace that he became happier than before. But he missed his master a lot. Thus he returned once to meet his master and to share the happiness. They talked less, but the assistant monk kept on repeating, "Oh happiness, oh happiness." At the meantime, the king came to meet them. The assistant monk, instead of greeting him, kept praising happiness. The king, who was the busiest person, rarely had time to be happy, thought, "What kind of a person this monk is? I have several works to do. Still I came to meet him, but he is not even greeting me." The old monk explained the story behind the happiness of the assistant monk. He elaborated that this monk was also a king once. At that time he was very wealthy. The guards surrounded him for protection. He possessed all materialistic things but was not that much happy. It is all after when he started living a life of a monk, meditating and not thinking about worldly pleasures and profits. That is when he had become happy. Thus, when he shared this portion of food with the needy, he became happier. Now he is more contented, satisfied and calm, living a life with more peace and tranquility. So what is the lesson? Buddha said, "Do not earn your living by harming others. Do not seek happiness by making others unhappy." Thus, the right livelihood talks about not running behind materialism or working for more and more profit. Instead, living a life where you can share your possession with others can be free from all the tensions. This means choosing a job that does not hurt others. That is the real happiness and real livelihood and a real state of human quality development. Right effort. Effort for the right things in a right manner, which can be beneficial to all, is the need of the hour. So we'll talk about the story of the Quail King to understand this. Once upon a time, in a jungle, lived a quail king with a flock of 1,000 quails. This king was highly respected as he cared a lot for the quail flock. In the same jungle, a very clever hunter visited to catch the quails. He used to make the quail sound, and listen to the quail sound. Many quails used to come at that place. Then the hunter trapped them in the net and took them along with him. He made a good living by selling these quails. The Quail King was very disappointed by losing the quails that were like family members, and thought to make a better plan to save all of them. Thus he called all the 1,000 quails to attend a meeting. There the king discussed about the danger that they are facing, and thus shared a smart strategy to escape from the problem. He said that if you are trapped in the net, all of you should raise your neck together and fly away with the net. Also remember to drop it on the thorn bush so that the hunter will be busy in taking out the net and you all can escape. The next day when the hunter came, all the quails used the same strategy and escaped. They were happy with this plan, but the hunter was sad. Due to this plan of quails, he returned home with empty hand, with no money and no quail to eat. But story does not end here. His wife was also angry because of these reasons, so this was the difficult time for him. But he knew that his good time will also come on the day when the quails will start fighting among each other. This truly happened one day when one quail hit the head of another by mistake. On this, another quail started arguing, and this went on. For this rough behavior, one quail said to another, "Why should I lift my head for someone else's protection?" At this point spread all, and every quail thought the same. As a result, no quail raised the head this time, and all were trapped by the hunter. This story sets the example for all that the right efforts are very important in each step of life. A life can be meaningful and valuable by doing the best all the times for every being, by having the goodwill towards others. It also gives us an idea of not wasting our efforts on things that hurt our own self or even others. In addition, the right efforts focus on developing the right sense of empathy and working towards the development of fellow beings. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness talks about improving the human quality by being alert, using the ideas in a right way, and never losing the right opportunity, and thus taking correct actions. This also means to be aware of our thoughts, words, and deeds by utilizing the knowledge in the right direction. The Tale of Mouse Merchant talks about this vital quality of mindfulness. Once the king's advisor was passing from away with his fellow mates. There he saw a dead mouse lying on the road. Looking at it, he said to his mates, "A young, energetic person can start earning a good living from this dead mouse and can build a fortune by using his intelligence." One of the passerbys heard the words of a famous advisor and decided to follow it. He picked the mouse from its tail and started walking. A shopkeeper saw the man with the mouse and purchased the mouse for his hungry cat in 2 copper coins. With these coins, the man bought some cakes and water and stood at the roadside. The flower pickers who were passing from there took those cakes and water from him. In return, each of them gave him a bunch of flowers, which he sold at the city side. Then he cleaned the king's garden and collected the rough branches and bushes and other wooden waste and sold it on a good price. From the handsome amount which he earned by this, he opened a small refreshment shop. Once the flower pickers came into his shop, he offered them the cakes and water without any cost. They asked him what could they do for him in return. The man knew that the horse dealer is coming in the city. So, keeping in mind this information, he purchased grass from the flower pickers. He further requested them not to sell any grass to that horse dealer until he had finished selling it. In such a way, he earned good price. Time passed until few customers in his shop informed him about the ship coming from a foreign country. The man thought this to be the best opportunity he was waiting for and made a good business plan. He knew that the country from where the ship was coming had no rubies and the price of gold is also too high. Consequently, he went to a friend who was a gold merchant and bought a gold ring with red ruby in cheapest price. He offered that ring to the captain of the ship as a gift and asked him to send all the passengers to him as a broker. After several ships came to the port, the man acted as a middleman and became rich and successful. In his heart, he still remembered the first steps towards his success and wished to meet that advisor. The man gifted the famous advisor 100,000 gold coins, which was the half of his entire wealth. The advisor asked the man that how he earned so much of wealth. To this, the man told him about his journey from the dead mouse to the foreign ship, from the good contacts to the large fortune. So we can say that advisor became very happy to meet this energetic and talented young man and decided to marry his one and only daughter with this young man. After some time, when this advisor died, the king made this young man his advisor. Thus the man became richer and throughout his life he distributed his wealth to the needy. This is how this man, by being aware of his thoughts, made right plans and used them at right place. This mindfulness, if used in today's businesses and in our personal lives also, can make people successful. Thus, truly, great wealth comes from the small beginnings full of energy and ability, which is full of right mindfulness. To understand right concentration, we'll talk about the story of the Monkey King. The Monkey King explains that the right concentration leads us to accomplishment of every difficult task. Once upon a time in the forest lived almost thousands of monkeys. They had a Monkey King. He was such a tall being with not only a huge body but also with a huge mind. That jungle was known for haunted ponds in which the water demon lived. Once all the monkeys were roaming around the forest. The Monkey King warned them not to drink water from any pond without asking him, as it could be poisonous or there could be water demons. After their long journey, they became tired and thirsty. They asked the Monkey King if they could drink it from the nearby pond. The Monkey King first observed the pond and he found the animal footprints going towards the pond, but there were no sign of footprints coming back. The Monkey King judged at once that this pond possesses some demons inside that kills animals while they drink water. As a result, he asked monkeys to sit there for some time but not to drink water. The demon saw that so many monkeys are sitting on the trees surrounding the pot, but nobody is drinking water. The Monkey King asked him, "Are you a water demon?" He replied, "Yes, I am. And when you will come to drink water in this pond, forced by your trust, I will eat you." Despite of being terrified by his deadly look, the Monkey King concentrated on his thoughts to come to a solution. He said to the demon that we will surely drink water from this pond, but you will not be able to eat any one of us. Saying this, he picked a bamboo stick available nearby. By the force of his mouth, he blew away the knots in between and used it as a straw to drink water from the pond. In this way, he arranged several bamboo sticks in the form of straw. All the monkeys enjoyed drinking water, and the demon could not believe all this and disappeared inside the water by the fear of this incident. Thus, concentration is a great talent which everyone should possess. Even the most difficult task is possible if we concentrate on the task without getting distracted by unpleasant circumstances. Focus on one thought or object at a time. By doing this, we can be quiet and attain true peace of mind by accomplishing all the undertakings. Thus, in a way, following the Noble Eightfold Path is like developing human quality and also growing in one's wisdom to achieve nirvana. If this Eightfold Path is followed by individuals in their day-to-day activities, either personal or professional, it will lead them to the path of happiness, peace, and satisfaction in all aspects of life. So, students, let's now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Jataka collection refers to birth or life. Jatak is a part of Buddhist literature and is well known as the pearls of wisdom. It signifies a story or tale of one of the former births of Buddha. Lord Buddha often cited examples from his past lives in order to explain the right way of life to people. Every Jataka tale conveys a meaning or moral to the mankind in various ways. All Jataka stories help in leading towards a correct way of life. Even today, these fables continue to play a vast role in human quality development through the encouragement of building peace and kindness. Thank you.